The clear reality is Dave's gonna wipe me, but I might actually win this poll. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. That's you also got voted in, right? With all these people. So
exactly. The fact that I'm in the tournament, peak Dave Chafee has pins on just about everyone. There was an era in American arm wrestling where he was untouchable. It was easy money Dave Chafee because he would just win everything. But at the moment, he's in trouble against me. That's all I could. Let's see. Oh, look at that. I'm winning the poll already. This is ridiculous. Yeah, I'm running away with it. Dave was never known for his endurance at the end of the day, was he?
I wish I had a Bart Wood here to tell the chat that they're making a mockery of the sport.
Stop making a mockery of this.
I can genuinely say this is like the biggest thing that I've seen people say, which is that like I was like faking my reaction to get famous. It didn't even cross my mind. Who the fuck cares about who's in the audience? No one's going to be looking at me. Genuinely, every reaction you saw, I was not even thinking about the audience. I wasn't even thinking about, the camera or anything. That was just an organic how I felt in that moment. And, I ended up looking like a bit of a clown because everyone else around me wants Devin to win. So when Levon wins and I'm screaming my head off and everyone else doesn't care, it's a little silly looking, but.
By 2016, Krasimir would face one of his most formidable opponents yet, in the now undisputed number one of the world, Levon Saginashvili. The two met during a match in the European Championships, and it was clear that Georgian Holok was, even then, already much larger than Krasimir. Nevertheless, the athlete slipped, and Krasi stopped Levon in the straps on the inside. From there, he worked on Levon in typical Kostadinov fashion, and fouled him out twice for the win. Is John Brazing? Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you might be. Welcome to the Arm Historian Live. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Let me turn the music down on my end. There we go. How you all doing? Let's see who's in chat. Lagia Arm, what's up, man? Good to see you. AFT, Lat Rousseau, Mr. Peanut, what's up? How come East versus West doesn't have any lady referees? Good question. Good question. There are quite a bit of WAF referees, so like WAF lady referees, so I definitely think it would be possible for them to have more referees that are female, but yeah, I don't know why. Should probably ask them. No idea. Mr. Peanut, please investigate this. Yeah, if anyone can get to the bottom of it, probably Mr. Peanut. So how you guys doing? It's been a quiet week in arm wrestling, I think, so it'll probably be a relatively short live stream here. We will take a look, however, at some social media, some stuff that's been going on. There's been some Devon after pulls. A couple of things here and there, but all in all, not a lot happening unless one of you guys wants to, show me something. You're more than welcome to. Let's see if we can pull, for example, we'll go to the arm wrestling subreddit here and take a quick look at what Dave posted. I remember there being a load of female referees in the PAL. Yep, that's true too. I've been reffed in, like during tournaments, I've been reffed by female referees before. There are quite a bit of very good female referees, for sure. Let's pull this up here. High five arm wrestling at female referee, says the USS Liberty, never forget, and they did very well. The refs, not the organization. Yeah, Yeah, for sure, for sure. And why wouldn't they, right? There's a lot of good female arm wrestlers, so it makes sense that there's a lot of good female arm wrestling referees. Won't show too much of this. Don't want to get copyright strike, but yes, this was a very good match between Yoshi and Pietro Margarint. Is there any exercise you hate doing? Yeah. There's a couple out there. I seriously, sometimes going high on a riser exercise, like trying to isolate a riser only, is very difficult for me. It's a tremendous amount of strain on my wrist when I'm trying to go for the PR in that lift. It starts to be very wobbly after a while, you know what I mean? East vs. West had an underground event. Jason Merlot dominated. I actually haven't watched that. But seeing Jason Merlot dominate that event is very good to hear. Jason Merlot, friend of the stream, likes our stuff, has been on the live stream a couple of times. Why am I so blurry? I thought I put autofocus off. Let me check again. Yeah, for some reason it's back to auto. There we go. That's better. Yeah, hit the like if you can. Hey, Tony Rizzo, what's up, man? Good to see you, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. I hate shoulder lateral raises and benching. Yeah, these ones, like to the side, yeah, I get that. Benching, I don't hate anymore. I never used to bench, but like since half a year ago or something, I started to do it. And I'm enjoying it a lot more now that I've got like decent technique. I wouldn't say I'm good at it, but I've got decent technique, so benching, yeah, has become a lot more fun for me personally. JFT says, when I arm wrestle, I feel it a lot in my rear delt. Is this normal? That's a weird place to feel it, kind of. Yeah, is that normal? I don't think so, but then again, if you've just gotten into arm wrestling, I think it is rather normal that you feel pain in a lot of strange places, especially, like, I think a lot of it depends on if you're guided by experienced people. Because when I started, it was just me and one friend getting into it. We didn't have any guidance from like a professional arm wrestler or someone who actually knew what they were doing. So I think we kind of got into it the wrong way, and as a result of that, we suffered a lot throughout like the first year, 2 years almost. We suffered quite a bit after pulling on the table. But then, as we got more into the sport, we got new people into the training group, and we went to tournaments, we got to know more people, we kind of learned more how to train correctly, and I think that helped a bunch with managing pain and soreness and things like that. So yeah, is it normal? It's not a place I usually experience pain from arm wrestling, but I would say if you're just getting started and like the guidance isn't the best, or you just went hard during a practice with like a press or something weird, then probably it's normal. Ian, how you doing? Says, my shoulder died today after practice. Yeah, I get that. Like a lot of back pressure will do that to you sometimes. Yeah. It's funny because it seems like, and maybe that's just the thing about like these kinds of sports, but it seems like you're never at 100%, right? There's always some ache and pain somewhere. Like right now, my right wrist is like a little painful. Like it's been a little painful during the last couple of practices, so it hasn't been as strong as before. But my left feels like better than ever for some weird reason. In the past, it's always been the other way around. So yeah, it's funny how that works. Got a massage today for back and shoulders this lateral, so that's awesome. I went to the Philippines not too long ago and had a massage there that was just perfect. Best massage ever. Casey Jones says, do you practice giant pumpkin technique? No, not really. I try to be quite balanced, but nevertheless, like my right and left are way different. Like in size, maybe, I don't know. But I think even in size they're a little different. But I try to keep it rather balanced, but my left is like lagging behind like crazy. I just can't get it caught up for some reason. In tournaments especially, like my left isn't worth anything. I'm thinking if I ever had like a win in a tournament with my left, then I think I can count them on one hand. While my right has done well on occasion, so yeah. What do you think about Mindy's training style, says Latru? So he basically does stable time the most, right? If I'm not mistaken, remind me what his like main philosophies when it comes to training. Hey, TOS Move, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you, man. Kelvin Jones, YouTube says, yeah, 100%. So people always have an excuse if they want it, but everyone is dealing with something. Yeah, for sure. It always feels that way. I don't think I've ever been like 100% on the left and the right. Like, yeah, Arm says, my left side entire body, not just arm, is genetically less developed than my right side. And always had strength and coordination related issues. Interesting. Interesting. I think for most people, that goes for most people, I think, to a certain degree, but I think just genetically speaking, some people, the imbalance is probably way more pronounced than other people. Mindy trains light throughout the day, bands, lightweights, heavyweights, only static. That's interesting. I don't know what to think about that, because personally I haven't trained that way yet. I have done like mainly bands and lightweights when like I had an injury or like a chronic ache or pain somewhere. I have done that kind of training, but like the heavy weights only statically, I haven't done that. So it's hard for me to like comment on that, you know what I mean? It must be working for him, right? I mean, he's a great arm wrestler and he's winning every time almost, so yeah. Must be doing something right. Let me just look at something here on YouTube. Latrusso says he said he never goes heavy dynamic to not get injured. Yeah. I think there's a way of going heavy dynamic while still minimizing the risk of injury, but of course, if you want to minimize it as much as possible, you have to do it that way. Hey, the Lucky Ones podcast, Females in Arm Wrestling, thank you so much for the $5 dono. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. Definitely check this podcast out if you haven't already. I know I sound like a broken record by now, but yeah, definitely check them out. Doing a great job on YouTube. Hey, good to see you. My left is better, but I'm right-handed as far as East versus West. All my predictions were right. I should have bet on it. Yeah, you should have. I think that a lot, right? I should have bet, but then if I actually go and look at the minutia of like what I would have bet on, probably I would still come out losing money, so yeah. But thanks so much for the dono. I greatly appreciate it. The Lucky Ones podcast doing great work out there, promoting female arm wrestling and giving female arm wrestlers a great platform. Like, I think it's one of those channels that deserves a lot more subs and a lot more eyes on it, because they're remaining consistent and they're actually like putting out content that not a lot of other channels do. When it comes to female arm wrestling especially, it's like needs a lot more coverage, so. And they're just very nice people. Casey Jones says, and also a couple of good arm wrestlers in there. I seen some matches looking really good there on the table. Casey Jones says, Todd doesn't beat Levan, just saying. You're talking about Michael Todd, I'm assuming, not Toddzilla. Todd doesn't beat Levan. Yeah, probably not. I don't think Michael Todd right now would beat Levan. Yeah, I'd love to see the match just become... It's like one of those matches that I've been waiting on for quite a while, and I think a lot of people in the arm wrestling world have been waiting on that for quite a while. But yeah, I agree. I don't think right now Michael Todd beats Levan. I'd love to see the match though, honestly. I think a lot of people would. Don't forget he's also natty, so no injections in the butt to make the pain go away. Talking about Mindaugas, I think there, Latru, so yeah. I'll take his word for it. If he claims natty, I'd believe it, judging by his build. Not to put him down, he's obviously a fit guy and very strong, but I would believe it. One of the rare cases if he was completely natural. One of the very rare cases in arm wrestling, if he actually was. Pull something up here. Godzilla beats everybody, says Casey Jones. It does seem that way sometimes, doesn't it? Like Devon dropping in weight and facing Godzilla again, like the WAL days. Would be funny. Hey, no worries, the lucky ones. Honestly, looking good on the table. Seriously. And really good job with what you're doing on YouTube. But yeah, it is, I don't know. It's like useless speculating in arm wrestling, I feel like, about who's natty or not, because 99% of the time gonna be a no. That's the way I feel. That's the way I see it. You're free to disagree with that, but I think most of you kind of know what's going on, right? Would be very surprised if Mindy wasn't natty, said Latru, so yeah. Rooster's Lounge, how you doing? Says, I have a question. Why did they put a... why did they upset Brian Shaw? Did they? Who upset Brian Shaw? I think Brian Shaw was, in general, quite positive about the arm wrestling events, right? Like the arm wrestling event he put on kinda paid for his strongman event not doing so well. Is the last thing I heard from Brian Shaw. Then I've also heard, like, if they want to offer me a match, then I might take it in the future or something like that. So I don't think he's written off arm wrestling completely or anything like that. But I haven't heard he was upset yet. I guess because he said he won't make any more arm wrestling event. And then Rooster's Lounge says he said he's not gonna work with East Brewsters. East versus West, you mean? Yeah, I think, I don't know. I can't speak for Brian Shaw, obviously. But I think putting on the event, especially considering kind of what happened last time, all the, how do I say this, all the controversy that was going on in the arm wrestling world. The whole thing with Engin, the falling out, and the athletes making the petition not wanting to participate in East vs West. All the like drama going on. There's no better word for it than all the drama going on. I think it burned a lot of people out. And one of them might have been Brian Shaw. Apart from the fact that probably arm wrestling events wouldn't be wildly lucrative for him. I think that's one of the reasons, probably. The lucky one says, I don't think he was upset. I think he just doesn't want to promote and compete at the same time, which is very hard to do. That's another very good point there. And yeah, that does ring a bell now that you mention it, the lucky ones. It's a very good point that people who, if you participate in the same event you're organizing, you're gonna have a hard time. And maybe just wants to arm wrestle. I think it's a lot more financially viable for him to just arm wrestle and put arm wrestling content out on his YouTube channel and other social media than it would be to organize his own tournament, you know what I mean? So yeah. Hey, no worries, Roosters, that's fine. Yeah. He had the worst luck in timing ever, yeah. Calvin Jones says, I think he was massively stressed and put off. I don't know how much of that he puts on them and how much he just considers unfortunate. Yeah. Like you guys are saying, very bad timing there. But I guess it's part of the reason why he stepped in the first place, right? if the whole controversy or drama didn't happen, Brian Shaw wouldn't have had to put on or help put on East versus West, I think. But in general, I feel like after all the drama, there was kind of a lull in hype from a lot of people and in following the sport, kind of a downward trend. And yeah, I think we're recovering quite well. It's getting colder again outside, in a lot of parts of the world at least. People are like, the big school holidays over, people can spend more time online talking about arm wrestling. So I think gonna be an upward trend. What I mean is people can spend a lot more time people aren't as busy going out and enjoying the holiday, you know what I mean, or aren't on vacation or anything like that. People are settling into their routines, so they tend to consume more arm wrestling content. At least that's what I'm getting from my own analytics. So we might be on an upward trend again. Let's hope so. Vivrantum says, bro, stop making videos. Brian Shaw stopped making videos? Really? I think he was just expecting pullers not to boycott his event. Yeah, I get it. Hey, sub boys. Sub dog, thank you for telling people to like the stream. If you can, drop a like. It does help. Thank you for reminding people. Dude came in with such great energy and good intentions, only to get effed in the A for no reason. Yeah, I get you. And it must have been, you know, must have taken the wind out of his sails a little bit. So I get that he wants to kind of take a step back from the whole being an organizer and being that heavily involved behind the scenes, and just wants to probably enjoy arm wrestling and get back on the table, you know. And in that context, I think it does make sense that he kind of, yeah, the best way to do that is to not organize any events and just pull, you know. So that does make a lot of sense to me on why he wouldn't step up again in that way anytime soon. He's just doing more gym lifting, heavy weights type videos. Brian Shaw is, I think, first and foremost, Brian Shaw is a content creator. I think his main source of income is probably content creation, like sponsors he gets for his videos, ad revenue he gets, probably a Patreon or membership, stuff like that. I think that's probably Brian Shaw's main source of revenue right now, right? And also the road to more revenue and more sponsors in the future, keeping his social media presence up there. So it makes a lot of sense to me that he's doing that by focusing more on it. And maybe not being as involved in arm wrestling. I think Brian Shaw will inevitably come back to arm wrestling, but it's just, I think we should learn our lesson. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, I'm appreciative to Brian Shaw for giving the sport a boost and getting involved. And I think more strongmen getting involved is only a good thing. But I think we should be kind of mindful of people like Brian Shaw, Larry Wheels even, although Larry Wheels stuck around for a long time, but there are a lot of content creators that see that arm wrestling content is doing good numbers-wise in certain ways, and will jump on the train, right? And when the hype kind of dies down, like was the case a couple months ago, might just jump back off and who knows, maybe jump back on a little later. No, I haven't seen Bob Brown's match yet. That's interesting. Did he have a good match? Really good puller. Bob Brown, one of those people who's been around forever too. Like in making the John Brezink videos, I've seen some old footage of Bob Brown arm wrestling. Who do you think would be a good match for MMT? I don't know. That's a tough one. Like in the 115, or like where do you think MMT should be right now? Did he still mess with the heavyweights, like the super heavyweights? Did he aim for Levon? I think in his mind, probably, right? Svetkov or Jerry? Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing a MMT Jerry match, just because we know it'll probably go the distance, judging by their last matches. MMT versus Dave, I wouldn't mind that one either, honestly. At 115, yeah, I can see that. Calvin Jones says, I started following an Australian strongman when he took up the sport. It lasted a few weeks, he went to his first match and detached his bicep. Talked a good game, yeah. I think in general, arm wrestling is that kind of sport where people sometimes dive into it head first. And especially strong people, like it's really easy to get injured. Because if your tendons aren't conditioned for it, yeah, it's really easy for your muscles to outpace your tendon strength. Unfortunate, but yeah, very unfortunate fact about arm wrestling. Even experienced it on a personal level where people come to training once or twice and just have extreme pain for weeks on end, and we don't see them again, so yeah, unfortunate. Let Dave reign for a bit, poor guy, yeah. I love Dave. I love seeing Dave the way he is right now. Like, I think he looks very healthy at 115. So, yeah, I'm glad he's doing that. Michael said if he gets a path towards Levan, he will take it. Otherwise, he goes for 115. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. No arm wrestling content since, yeah. Can you blame the guy, I guess? Lagia says, Yoshi is the only puller that I don't want to learn English. Speaking in Japanese adds to his mysterious samurai aura. I love me some Yoshi Kanai. He always seems up for a battle and so into the arm wrestling itself. Yeah, love me some Yoshi. It's one of the videos that I made. I made like a pretty long video on him. A deep dive on his career. And it's one of those videos that has never done really well views-wise, but that I'm really happy with. Just for the fact that I learned a lot about his career. It would be much more exciting if Vitaly learned English even a bit. He does speak English, like a very small amount of English. I've heard him talk English before. Even if only a couple of sentences. But yeah, would be great. Can't really blame him though. Although I think English probably one of the most convenient languages to learn, obviously, just because there's so much media to consume in English. Or Jerry. I guess Yoshi wasn't as popular, maybe the views will pick up now. Maybe. It's okay if they don't. Yeah, okay if they don't. There's a couple of videos on my channel, and I've talked about it before plenty of times. There's a couple of videos that I think it's very unfortunate that they're not doing that well views-wise, because I think they're good videos. I've got one on WAL, and then one on Game of Arms. Both of them I think are pretty good. Part of my earlier videos. They never really took off for some reason. But I can't complain. Views-wise, lately it's been pretty good. And I'm working on finishing the John Brezink series. Part 5 will be coming out soon. And I've also got another video that's dropping relatively soon on a completely different topic within arm wrestling. I also want to do the... I made like one video that did really well on like the rivalry between two pullers, and I kind of want to continue that series with another big rivalry. I kind of went over every match that two pullers had between each other, and kind of what went before and after those matches, kind of give a little context to when they faced each other. I chose Devon and Travis for the first video just because I figured it would do pretty well. But I kind of want to continue that series, so if anyone has any suggestions on like the next big rivalry to follow. I think one of the only criteria is maybe they should have at least like 4 or 5 matches between them at least. If you guys know of 2 pullers that have that many matches throughout the years between each other, and that would make a good video, let me know. I know quite a few of them already, the names, but it's always good to have a little more suggestions on that front. Elsim says, poor Jerry losing to the top 3 in the world. Yes, poor Jerry, yes. Jerry completely washed off after losing to Levan and Hermes, right? And Vitali. Jerry completely done for now. I'm gonna make a rise and fall on Jerry Caderet because who loses 3 times to like Levan? Hermes? No one loses to them. How is it possible for some arm wrestlers to reach their prime in the late 40s or even 50s? Yeah, that is a good thing about arm wrestling though. Yeah, I appreciate it, lucky ones. It's good that you got something out of that video at least. Although I do have to admit my coverage of female pullers is sorely lacking. Something that I want to remedy in time. For sure. Hey, I'm Atlantis. How you doing? Good to see you, Atlantis. Alex Kurdija versus Winning. I like Alex. He's like a super good sport. I've made a video before on him, like talking about his atrocious fake match versus the slap fighter. And he was still nice enough to, when I did my face reveal, to be part of that video. So I love Alex Kurdija. He's been really, really nice to me. Has been really generous with his time. And all around seems like a really decent dude. Plus my girlfriend and him kind of move in the same academic sphere, so there's some overlap there. Hey man, yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing quite well. I'm a little tired, but other than that, I'm doing well. Thank you. Raf Transform says, in an alternative world, Alex is the protagonist and smashes Levan to save Princess Devon. Well, not too long ago, Alex did beat Hermes. And Alex was the chosen one at a certain point in time. People were saying Kurdija was the one to take Levan down. Or would be the one to take Levan down. And now, of course, not so much, but who knows? Maybe if he can like focus a little more. Maybe. If he can make a little more time for arm wrestling and like really hone in on his skills, who knows? He certainly has the frame for it, for sure. I made a video before about him and Derek Smith and kind of... Someone compared them online, like... that they're kind of similar just in the fact that not in ability or strength necessarily, because I would argue that Alex Kurdija is a way higher level than Derek Smith in super match pulling, but they're kind of similar in the way that they both have a incredibly impressive frame, but aren't really living up to the sometimes unrealistic hype that people put on them, you know what I mean? Hey Tomer, how you doing? No worries, man. We'll keep the stream relatively brief. I might go for another 10 minutes or so, but like I said, it's been quite a quiet week in arm wrestling. I don't think that much is happening right now. They did announce a match, right? Not too long ago, I think, for the next East versus West. It's gonna be in Atlantic City, as you can see. And they did announce like one match already, I believe. Yeah, and there's been a lot of after pulling. Devon after pulling after, I think after East vs West and stuff. He stuck around a bit. and did some good after pulling. I've seen some people that I know from like the local scene here that I faced before. I've seen some people on the table with him, so yeah, interesting. Too bad I couldn't meet him. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that match. Kurdecha versus Sporong, left-handed. Just in general, more of Sporong, I would definitely go for. Yeah, Lagia. I think in general, East versus West has stepped up their production a little. And I did a full review on the event. You can watch the previous live stream. But yeah, I like the direction they're taking it a lot. I think they're doing a good job. Yeah, this guy looked really good. On the left hand versus Devon. They're already in the straps here. Hey, the bodybuilder Spectrum TV. I know who you are, my friend. Good to see you. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Tomer says, I think Kurdecha should take a break and get some momentum going in some less competitive competitions, perhaps. Maybe. I think Kurdecha is still up there. Like, basically could go to almost any tournament and dominate there, I think. It's just that it seems like in super matches against the real top elite of the sport, he's kind of falling short a little. But I think if he trains like for a year or something, like really solidly focuses on arm wrestling and really trains hard, he might be up there. Who knows? Who knows? I did 105 pounds static hold for 11 seconds. That's good. Like, what kind of static hold? Spectrum. This guy should face Vitali next. Maybe. I don't know. I like these training videos. A lot of people have been pointing at these videos and saying like Devon isn't all that, but like just look at his footwear here. Hang on. Like I don't think Devon is in peak fighting condition in these matches. You know what I mean? If you're pulling on your slippers in a gym, yeah, probably not peaked. Like supplement-wise, probably not peaked at all. I think he's still doing pretty well. Yeah, Craig Tullier, for sure. You don't hear a lot of Craig anymore, but for sure. I wish we saw more of him again. Hey Spinner, how you doing, man? Good to see you. We need to hype up the B team. Always focusing on the number one makes conversations repetitive. Yeah, and I think that's doubly so the case when your number one is Levan Saganashvili, who has been the number one now since... Like, since when has Levan been the number one? Pre-COVID, right? Like 2020, 2019? "2017, says Elsems. I don't know about that. Maybe. Yeah, you could argue as early as that. Jesus wore sandals, so too must Devon. Spacey coming in with a prophetic message. I feel Levon will go unbeaten but won't live to see 50 years old, says Ted East. Yeah. I've made a video about how long Levon can possibly sustain the level he's at right now. A video that did quite well, by the way. But yeah, I wouldn't say I agree with you because there's no way of telling. But in general, I think arm wrestling needs to move away somewhat from, I'll put it this way, it needs to move away somewhat from having some of these top pullers only pulling once or twice a year. Because only pulling once or twice a year facilitates an enormous amount of PED usage. If you force pullers to actually compete 5-6 times a year in order to keep their ranking or hold on to their belt, either something's gonna give, right? Either they're gonna go overboard on the PED usage even more, and it's gonna become very obvious very quickly that it's not a sustainable way to build a sport, or they're actually, and I think this is what's gonna happen, they're actually gonna go a little down, and everyone's level is gonna go down a little, and it's gonna be way more fun to watch, and way less, even more importantly so, way less harmful for the athletes themselves. This might be like an unpopular opinion, or it might be unrealistic in some people's minds, but I truly believe that the future of our sport has to be somewhere in that direction, honestly. The levels would equal out exactly, Elsims. Yeah, I agree. Right now, this whole entire mindset of every athlete needs to be 100% peaked for every single one of his super matches, I think in the long run is really harmful for not only the sport but also the athlete's health. We need to get to a point where people accept that even though sometimes Levon would lose a match when he shows up in a day when someone else is speaking higher or is suddenly better at a certain day than he is, or he looks less dominant in a certain performance, he could still be number one, you know what I mean? If you just do more matches and everyone has to do more matches of the top pullers, I'm talking about the elite of the elite, then I think it would even out anyway and Levon would still come out on top. But it would make the matches a whole lot more interesting. And the sport, as a consequence, a whole lot more interesting. In my opinion. Yeah, Tomer, you say that we'd run out of matches for Levon. Right now, yeah, sure. Only a couple of people are realistic matchups. But what people tend to forget is, if Levon would be forced to pull 5 or 6 times a year, he wouldn't be able to peak the same way he would be right now. He wouldn't come in at that same level each time. And some other matches would actually maybe make sense. And even if they still wouldn't make sense and he still dominates everyone, it's just more proof of how dominant of an athlete and a champ he would be, right? So I don't see the downside of that. But I think that not only goes for Levon, but should go for a lot of the number one pullers in their weight class, as well as a whole lot of super heavyweight elite guys. But I think it's mainly a mindset about the sport, right? Has to come from the fans as well as the pullers and the organizations. Trying to step away from that unattainable mindset of coming into every single match at the peak of their powers. It's unsustainable for the sport and for athletes themselves. Once a month until Zilla will be the only survivor. Yeah, maybe if people would be forced to lower their PED usage, injuries would happen way less. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just speculation on my end. I'm not backing this up with anything. That's just my opinion on it. And I might be completely off base here. Certainly a possibility. Don't worry, I'm sure Dennis will make his comeback finally and beat Levon. Dennis is one of the unfortunate side effects of this whole mentality I'm talking about. Like, Dennis's career could have still been going strong. Dennis could still be amongst the top elite of the world and could still be in way better health than he is right now. I'm all for bodily autonomy and being able to do with your own body whatever you please. I'm a big proponent of that, but I do think like we could do with a mindset shift in the sport. I don't think that would be a bad thing at all. It's good that we're talking more about it and that some athletes are talking more about it. Khaled, doing some bodyguard work here. Whatever happened to Khaled? I saw him in like a couple of like MMA matches, I think, and then some slap fighting matches, and now he's doing like bodyguard work for some degenerates. Is there any other league or organization with a better system? That's debatable, right? Like I said, I don't think it's like necessarily up to one league in particular to change this. I think it's more of a gradual mindset change that needs to happen with spectators as well as athletes. Like, expectations need to change. But yeah, might not be the way forward. The best way forward might be to just encourage athletes to blast as much as they want and lean in on the entire freak factor of it, and I don't know, have people arm wrestle until they're 40 and then end up in the hospital. I don't know. Maybe that's a little too dramatic, but that might be the best way to grow our sport. Yeah, Tomer, for sure, for sure. Like, even though his health issues were foreshadowed, I didn't see Dennis taking a step back leading up to his 2018 event, right? I didn't see Dennis taking any steps back, even though, like you said, the signs were there. And that says a lot, I think, about the entire environment arm wrestling is still in right now. When Dennis comes back and beats Levon, will Santa Claus fly into the match on his sleigh? It does sound pretty unlikely at this point. But I'd love to see Dennis in great health again. Like, something else I'd love to see at some point is some league, some tournament trying something different with even East versus West, because East versus West has access to a lot of the big names in the sport. Why don't they try putting on some kind of tournament? Like an actual tournament with big names. Can you imagine like Devon, Dave, Jerry, Laletin, even Levon, Hermes, like all these guys pulling in one tournament on the same day, having multiple matches between each other? Like multiple best of ones and an actual bracket and moving on? I think the top people in that kind of format are potentially way different than the top people right now. Just to shake things up, just to try something new. Yeah. I would love to see something like that, personally. And I think in a lot of ways, it could like inject a lot of hype into the sport again and get a lot of people talking. Yeah, Tomer, you could do something like top 8, but even then, you're not trying out something new, right? Plus, like you said, you're still spacing apart the matches several days. At least. In some cases, several weeks even. But Rousseau, I would love that. If they did it once a year, like a big tournament. Yeah. Would absolutely love that idea. We need more left-hand matches, top matches, says Vladimir. Yeah. I think, in general, when it comes to the spectating aspect of the sport, like people actually watching the sport, there's not a lot of difference between left and right hand, right? To a lot of people who aren't like deeply entrenched into the sport, it doesn't matter which hand people are pulling with. You know what I mean? They just see arm wrestling. And honestly, when I'm watching a good left-handed match, I'm not thinking, yeah, but this is left hand, you know, I don't care. I don't care about this match. No, I'm watching a good arm wrestling match. It's an interesting arm wrestling match, and I forget about which arm it's on, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, does it? So I do agree that they should be open to organizing more left-handed matches, because it could lead to more people getting a chance to be in the spotlight that we otherwise wouldn't see, and more different matchups than we have right now. I don't know about that, Omer. Igor, I like certain aspects of Igor Mazurenko, for sure. But certain other aspects, I don't know if he would be the right guy to take the sport forward. I also don't think it would be one guy, if I'm being honest. Like, it would be very unlikely that one person would elevate the sport to this new level. I think it takes the entire community. And like moving on in a landscape that more and more starts to be like intrinsically tied to social media and online presence. You know what I mean? And I don't know if Igor is necessarily the right catalyst to make that happen. He might be. I would love to see him get back involved into the sport at a high level. But I don't know if he's like the singular person to carry arm wrestling on his shoulders into tomorrow. You know what I mean? Tomer, but arm historian. He had a PhD in arm wrestling. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. I still haven't been able to access his paper anywhere. Like, as far as I can tell, it hasn't been published anywhere. I did some actual, believe it or not, I did some actual digging for it. I am somewhat scientifically literate in that way, so I did some actual digging for that paper, and yeah, couldn't really find anything. That's not to say he doesn't have it. I'm pretty sure some institution gave him a PhD, a doctorate's degree. So this is not me saying Igor is not a doctor or he didn't earn his PhD or anything like that. I'm just saying personally, I can't find a lot of like articles published by Igor in any kind of scientific journal. I think it's insane that Igor never uploaded the matches officially on YouTube, says Lagia. Some of them he did. Some of them he did. But yeah, I know what you're talking about, like some of the top 8 matches and stuff. You can say a lot about Igor, but the guy has never sent a copyright claim or a strike my way. I've used plenty of footage from the PAL, and never once did he send me any kind of copyright claim. I remember using like a 5-second snippet of King of the Table and I got striked right away. Like my channel nearly got deleted like a year ago or something, for using like very little of King of the Table footage. Like I got channel striked right away, and for people that are into like YouTube content creation, you know that 3 strikes and you're out. Like a strike is a serious thing on your YouTube channel. Yeah, Tomer, I noticed that too. Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, I know. I saw that too, Spinner. I've seen the title. I did some actual digging for it. I've said this before on live streams. If some people have access to the full paper, the full thesis he wrote, I would love to read it. Like seriously, would love to read it. Not only that, Latrusso, a strike on your channel means you have to even take like some classes. You have to watch some videos on what to do. You're like restricted for 6 months, and then the strike gets taken away. But if you get 3 strikes within that 6-month period, your channel is deleted. Like your channel is out of here. You can appeal it, but appeals seldomly work in that case. So yeah, a strike is like if someone uses your footage in a way that doesn't comply with fair use. A strike is the most extreme measure. Apart from suing that person, a strike is the most extreme measure you can take on YouTube itself, towards the channel. But yeah, I've talked about this before ad nauseum. I'm kind of sick of talking about it. Like a lot of the organizations within arm wrestling have wisened up, I feel like, and have kind of started complying with YouTube's own fair use policy. Like the platform they use, they've started to see like, okay, maybe we should allow content creators to adhere to fair use and use our clips in a way that is transformative, and that will actually help our own organization. So I can't complain anymore about anything like that, but in the past it has been an issue for sure. Re-education camp, yeah, it actually kind of sounds like it when you see it, yeah. Correctional thinking classes. They subjected ARM historian to brainwashing. Yeah, I would never claim not to be brainwashed. Like, what the source of that brainwashing is, that's a completely different matter. Have you guys seen Reno, by the way? Reno is looking massive. Like, really heavy. It seems like he's bulking. Yeah, Lat Rousseau for sure. Like talking to YouTube, even if you, like I have a, how do you even call it? Like a contact with YouTube, when you reach a certain threshold in subscribers, I think it's like 10K or something, you get like a representative that works for YouTube and that you can contact with any questions, stuff like that. Yeah, hasn't done anything for me. Like I remember approaching him with some issues I had, and yeah. A fat chance in getting your channel reinstated after it's been deleted because of copyright strikes. Really low chance. I've seen people have the most success with reaching out to like YouTube on X and stuff like that, so yeah, I don't know. Actually met Reno in real life, and really nice guy. Young. I kind of forgot how young he was until I actually met him in person. Which isn't to I'm not saying he was childish or something like that. It's just I'm not that young anymore, as you can see. But I met Reno, and it kind of dawned on me then, even though this is like an elite arm wrestler, he's still a kid, you know what I mean? He's still a really young guy. You tend to forget that with like big guys like that who are doing really well in one field or another. Yeah, that makes sense, Calvin Jones. And yeah, it is hard to keep weight off for sure. Especially if you're a big boy like him. So yeah, I don't know. Unless there's something like pressing that has happened. Barbora miring Irakli. Unless there's something pressing that has happened within the last week of arm wrestling, I think we can kind of call it here. I'm gonna check if Neil Pickup is going live later. Neil Pickup usually goes live about 10 minutes from now. I'm gonna quickly check if he's going live today too for you guys. I know he didn't go live last week for some reason, probably because he was still like resting up from East versus West. And then I noticed Dexter Tan is also going live quite often after my live stream, or like when my live stream is coming to an end. So I'll check both those channels to see if they're going live after this one. I don't see any plan for Neil right now. I'll check on Dexter. That reminds me, a quick shout out to all the channel members. I think this one is up to date, although it might be missing a couple here. If you're a member and you're not on here, I deeply apologize. I need to update this, but I think it's kind of up to date. Also, thank you to anyone who has thrown a super chat my way in the last weeks, months. I really do appreciate it. Never need it. I'm not like trying to get people to sign up for memberships or send super chats my way. I do this because I love to talk to you guys once a week, kind of touch base on everything that's been happening. But I do really want you to know that I greatly appreciate the extra support there. Other than that, thank you so much for watching the live stream. Thank you for watching my videos, for liking, for commenting. Even if you're just a lurker and you've never spoken a word to me, but you do enjoy my content, I greatly appreciate you. Really, really. Yeah, I enjoy this. I'm still enjoying this. I'll be doing this for the foreseeable future. Whether or not my channel keeps growing or not, I'll keep doing it. Other than that, get your asses over to either Neil Pickup or Dexter Tan. They might be going live relatively soon. Who knows? And yeah, if that doesn't happen, join me next week. Same time, same place at Arm Historian Live. Until then, thank you. Bye-bye, guys.